This is Adam King from Aliens Don't Ring Doorbells, and you're listening to Madness to Creation.
Go ahead, say it.
Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? At Madness to Creation, we want you to be safe, be well, and be balanced. And we have a special interview with Stevie D, the awesome guitarist of the band Buck Cherry. And it's been so good getting back out to live shows and everything like that. And this was actually the first official show that we covered, along with the Velvets, during their free concert in New York City. Buck Cherry played at the Valor Ballroom with Of Limbo, and we get in conversation with Stevie D about their Hellbound record, losing his dad to cancer, and mental health as well. And Stevie D is such an engaging person and everything like that, and also makes some really ridiculous guitar riffs that will have modern rock fans, classic rock fans, and even mainstream rock fans clamor over the music of Buck Cherry. And I'll tell you what, this Hellbound record, it's going to be an awesome record to listen to. It has singles such as So Hot and all that. And what I really appreciate about the record is just how raw it feels. And he describes how it feels like Buck Cherry hit the proverbial reset button, and they certainly did with this record. And you can check out this video version of this interview on Instagram at Madness of Creation. Also, check out this on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Geo7, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, and Spreaker. And on that note, on June 25th, go pick up a copy of Hellbound by Buck Cherry. You'll be glad that you did. And on that note, here's our conversation with Stevie D of Buck Cherry. Take it away, Stevie. Welcome to the Madness to Creation podcast, where self-care and music merge. This is Maddie. How are you? Here I have with me is the amazing guitarist, Fran of the awesome band Light the Torch. So, Fran, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And you guys have a new record coming out. It's entitled You Will Be the Death of Me, available on... It's not available, but it's going to be available on Nuclear Blast Records June 25th, right?
Yes, correct.
And just take us in that album, like the writing process, the album, and like what's it like writing like with Howard Jones and all that stuff. And I also have to ask, how do you come up with those incredible guitar riffs that you come up with?
Oh, well, all right. So usually like how it's been for the past few records, and it's usually I start writing, I just try to write a bunch of music, and it's usually like shortly after, I guess, we finish a record, I take my time and get inspired again and like do my research, listen to a bunch of music usually. And after that, I just start writing songs, and I try to probably usually like something like 20 songs before we start with pre-production. Meanwhile, I send the songs to Howard and Ryan. They get familiar with it. They give me feedback. And it's usually after that, with pre-production, you start putting vocals on the songs. You start kind of like finalizing, at least we try to work on 2-3 songs during pre-production to kind of get a specific idea what we want for the record and what the overall sound is going to be. And then usually between pre-production and tracking, we try to have like 2-3 months. So that way I go back, I write more, I rewrite some of the other stuff that I was writing before, like, just that back and forth. And meanwhile, Howard is getting very familiar with the music, writes a bunch of lyrics, starts think about specific songs, and and then in the studio it just becomes like to me it's like it's very important to have at least for us, I think, like the way it works, we need to have a certain amount of time. We need to, with this, like, it really wouldn't work being rushed in doing anything. Like like we really take our time. It needs to be like, I think, done this way in order to feel right, and also like to really get familiar with the music for everybody. And because like for me, usually when we start being in the studios, like we work on some of the songs that I wrote a year before, right? So I'm very familiar with the music, but everybody needs to feel the same. And then once we start also working with producers, we start tweaking songs and trying different arrangements and stuff like that. And then like the way I work on demos and songs, I try to bring ideas that sound as finished as possible, as polished as possible, with like all the arrangements and all the things like program drums and everything. And it's more like to give the idea of what I'm feeling, but then they also know that I'm always like, we're open to change a bunch of stuff, because in the end, it's like if there's like a melody or anything like done with synthesizers or like guitar, I don't want that melody to influence Howard too much, because if he comes up with a great melody, it's like, I'm going to change the melody that I wrote, because to me, I mean, that's, vocals are the more important melody. And and it's weird how like over the years, like I see how more and more I just, I write starting from like drums, basically. It's like I kind of hear grooves and record grooves, hum grooves on my phone, and most of the time it starts from that. And then and in this case specifically, this record, few of the songs were not even written on guitar. Almost, it's like
Really?
be like drums, and then synthesizers like kind of create the mood, the chord change, the structure and everything, and then I come up with riffs that go on top. So but then there's obviously songs like the single that we released, Wilting in the Light. It starts like, obviously that's the first thing that I came up with, was that riff, the riff that you hear. So it really depends on the song. It really depends on the vibe that we want to give. And and in terms of like writing riffs, I guess it's the same, done kind of like most of the time it's like drums. And then I start just improvising or playing. I create a loop, and then over and over, and I just kind of like jam with the drums and just come up with riffs.
That's all pretty incredible. And thank you so much for painting a picture of what it looks like a day in the life of like the torch, so to speak. And what I really appreciate is like how open-minded you are. Is that a challenge for you yourself to be open-minded when it comes to the studio, or because you know what I mean? Is that kind of a challenge for you, like to be open-minded in the studio, or do you find that to be pretty easy?
Well, it's something that you gotta, like the toughest part could be like once you bring a bunch of songs and you have your band, and then you have producers, and everybody's like just listening to your, I don't know, 15, 20 demos, and they're like criticizing, dissecting, or like if any, like we got to change it, or like we try this, we try that. So there's always like at first, I'm like, you never know how it's gonna go. It's like, for what I know, it's like everybody's gonna hate everything. But then honestly, with this band, it's so easy. It's pretty much like anything that I write, like the guys dig it. If we end up not using something, it's more because of kind of the vibe that we want, or like also sometimes because we want to pick specific songs, or certain songs inspire Howard more. And to me, that's all about like more and more has become understanding like Howard musically, and then understanding what I like, figured out what I can write that is going to complement his voice the best, and the type of melody that he writes, and the type of vibes that he has, the lyrics and all that. So I really try to do that. And I think this time even more, Howard was like vocal about like, the songs that I would show him, and then how it would be like, he would ask me like, hey, I really dig this part. I think I can do a great job. Maybe can you try something else for this other part? Because I don't really connect, it's like, it doesn't really feel. And then I would try different things. Like, so there's communication like that. It's not like a band where I write the music and you guys deal with it. It's not like that at all. And to me, it's what's the purpose? Like, would be very stupid. It would be like, in the end, I'm a guitar player and I play guitar, I write, but like, I don't see the guitar as the most important instrument. Some people, like whatever instrument they play, they think that is what needs to shine. And it's like, if on a song there's like nothing special about the guitar parts, but the other stuff is really cool, and then we get to have like great chorus and all that to me, that's the goal. It's more important than that individual instruments. And obviously this has changed over the years. At first, like, especially in the Ocean Terrace days, it was like, I'll be like all about shredding and just like kind of, I don't want to say necessarily showing off, but you played and you studied and you practice all those hours. You kind of want to write music that has that, right? Because that's what you hear, what you have in your ears. But I think over the years, I just more and more, I'm drawn to and fascinated by just good music, like good songwriting.
Absolutely.
Like, to me, it requires so much more, like, and it's actually the work of coming out with a good song is just more fun. It's just like putting all the pieces in the right place, and it's like kind of organizing the whole thing. It's like it's a lot more fun to me right now, and even more challenging, honestly.
Would you say this is the most fun that you've had being in this band? And I know we've had COVID and everything like that, but are you having the most fun right now?
Yeah, like the past, honestly, with Light the Torch, and once after the first record got like such good response, like, we weren't expecting like such good outcome, and then the tours started coming, and then like we're like getting better and better, and things started really feeling like, wow, now it's really fun, because not only you put a lot of work, but also you see all the people being into it, and just you see the growth of the band, that just obviously makes you feel you're on the right track. And and so it's like the past years, it almost feels like it's gotten better and better and better, and it keeps getting better. And then between the three of us, the relationship, it's only gotten better. And obviously last year, I got to be honest, I was like such an exciting year for us. We were so pumped. We had just finished recording the record. The record was done in February. We finished the record end of February 2020. And so we had just left on tour, and we had all this awesome plans for the year. It's like, and the idea of releasing this new record last year summer. So yeah, we're like absolutely so pumped and happy and everything. So when COVID happened, it was really, especially at first, like really hard to digest, and like this whole change of scenario. But I think like the fact that we are so close to each other, and have so much respect for each other, the fact that most of the time we like chatting or calling, and we don't even talk about band stuff, we just hang out. We're best friends,
Absolutely.
And so I think it really made just everything that is related to this, even in like, photo shoot, video shoots, like we're mostly excited to be together and hang out and laugh, so because we do laugh a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things, like with COVID and everything like that. I feel like before COVID happened, I was taking like relationships for granted and stuff like that. And do you find yourself valuing your relationships that you have with Howard and Ryan so much more?
Yeah, I think so. Like you start seeing like how much actually you miss certain things about certain people, and then just spending time together. Because like for us at this point, it was like, I mean, we kind of live together almost 6 months a year. You're on tour. If you're not on tour, you like spend time in the studio, and so you're like always around each other. So it's kind of like a family, traveling family. And all of a sudden when you just like, wow, we're not on stage and working together, but we're not even spending time. We're not hanging out. So yeah, it really was very weird, very weird.
So did like COVID like play an impact on like your mental health, so to speak, or like what did you learn about yourself from a personal standpoint, from a musician standpoint, in terms of like the COVID pandemic?
One thing that I say it, and I'm actually very open about it. I'm very lucky that before COVID, actually, I had just started seeing a therapist, and throughout this whole time, I've been lucky to have once a week I talk to a therapist, and to me, this was amazing because it just overall was like, first of all, I really needed it when COVID happened, and it was like at first nobody knew how long this was going to take, and then tours were just being postponed, like a few months. But I was already, before COVID, I was just going through a really weird, rough time, and even during the process of writing the music, like a little more than 2 years ago, I was in a car accident, and
oh wow.
Yeah, this car accident was like really bad, and I for the first time, I experienced like being weak, being like physically not healthy, being like I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't lift like a guitar case. It's like I was just struggling really bad at first, and then and so a month after the accident happened, we actually had to go on tour. And the first run was like 3 months back to back. It was like US, Europe, back to US. And obviously it had doctors and management, everybody thinking like, okay, you should stay home. But at that point, it's like, just I was so unhappy about feeling so unhealthy that I felt like if I stay home and I don't do this, I'm actually going to be way more depressed and sad about it. So that year, I unfortunately, just in order to be able to tour and do stuff, I was like taking so many pain medication, just, muscle relaxers and painkillers. And just that became a thing where it just like, oh, I can't sleep. Okay, I'll just take more of this stuff. Or I can't be on stage. Oh, I should just take more of it. And I realized how there was not a way to solve my issues of being unhappy with my health. It was just a matter of like, well, I'll just cover it with taking medication, right? And then when I got off the first tour, it felt so weird because all of a sudden it's like, I'm home alone now. I don't have my friends. I'm not doing exciting things. And then my wife's at work, and I'm like at home, I started feeling like really, really weird about this whole scenario. And that's when I really had to start writing music. And the majority of the music written for this record was done in between tours during that time when I was in the worst mood.
Wow.
Like hurting, and then constantly seeing doctors. Because I went to see chiropractors for like 3 months. Then I was doing like, even on tour, I was like seeing chiropractors and physical therapists. Then I did, a bunch of physical therapy. Before physical therapy, spine injections. And so things were progressively getting better, but I mean, it's just like very slowly. And I like music was really like the one thing that I could do during the day to not think about the issues like of just being unhappy with my health. And also like, cause everybody knows like how I used to, exercise, go on long walks, hike, ride bicycles, do things. And all of a sudden it's like, I can't do any of it because my back hurts so bad. And then you just home. And you just stay home, and just like it's very unhealthy for anybody. And so even music, I was kind of like using it as the one thing that is not going to make me feel or think about all the issues. And I think like once we started with pre-production, once we started with being in the studio, I started feeling like this incredible amount of adrenaline that it's almost like borderline like being manic about having all this energy, all these things. And then like I would feel good with my health.
Wow.
Or I thought it was because of the adrenaline. But then the moment that, towards the end, while we're finishing the record, I started really feeling the issues like mentally. I really felt like I was losing my mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I had to go see doctors. I had to, like after talking to a psychiatrist, they told me like, yeah, you really need to start. Well, at first, the first doctor I saw just, take more meds. And I was like,
wow.
yeah. So I was like, you know what? I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't want to just like forget on my thoughts and just take medication. I don't want to do that. I just want to, face all these things. So the second doctor told me, is like, yeah, I suggest looking for a therapist. So like basically since February last year, that's when I started seeing a therapist, and oh my God, that really changed my life. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It was like such a big, important thing. It's like at my age, it's crazy to think like I lived over so many things in life, not really being able to analyze or understand my own thoughts. There's so many things that people think like they're normal, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not normal to feel a certain way about certain things. It's like there's certain emotions like feeling vulnerable, which are very normal. Nobody should feel guilty because you're feeling vulnerable. And I thought like in order to be, strong and achieve good things in life, I had to be strong no matter what, like made of steel, and no matter what, always push forward. But then, you also start realizing that we're not made like robots, and we actually have to take our time to really think about it. And so I started doing, I started meditating. I started like doing yoga, doing like breathing exercises. And I just like how much, even like, that's when like really last year is like even my back and necks, everything started feeling better. I started, eating better, exercising slowly more and more with a lot of stretching. And now like it's crazy how actually during COVID, that's the time that I really felt like my mind got finally good again, and yeah, and that's one of the things I actually like. I tell everyone, it's like, talk to a therapist. It's like, if you can find a therapist, talk to a therapist. Like, to me, it's something that's literally like, if you find a decent or good therapist, there's nothing that this person can say that is going to hurt. It can only help, So it's exactly. Like there's still people like in certain parts. I come from Italy. In the countries like Italy, talking to a therapist, still seeing like, oh, really? You so you have issues?
It's a stigma over there.
Yeah, and
wow.
It is in many places still, and honestly, like to me, it's like it's almost like even if you're completely healthy and happy, it will help you still, talk to a therapist. So yeah, it's I actually had my appointment today with my therapist. Like I do feel like every time I talk, I just feel slightly better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank you so much just for being vulnerable and everything like that. Can you identify the specific moment where you felt that breakthrough, like, hey, I can do this. I can turn this around. Was it like when you were writing that song, or was it like when you were sitting on the therapist couch or a chair, wherever you sit with the therapist? And
I think pretty much after the first appointment, the first time I got to talk to my therapist, I kind of like, I opened up about certain things that I wasn't even, before start talking, I didn't even I wasn't planning to talk about. And I started randomly to talk about things that I guess I never talked about for probably 20 years. Wow. And I'm like, even that alone made me think like, okay, how's that? I had things that were bothering me, and they've been bothering me for 20 years. I'd never talked about it to anyone. And all of a sudden it's like, now I'm opening up about this. And then it's just such a good, just relief, and just, I don't know. It's like, really. So I guess like first time talking to a therapist was already a big difference. And I felt like I can really, become like, I don't know, just be more in control, of my emotion.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're close enough to your bandmates, like Howard and Ryan in particular, where you can have like these group talks, like group therapy sessions, for lack of a better term, and able to, communicate as a band like that?
Yeah, honestly, like they know all this stuff. Like we talk, so openly about anything really. It's just like talking to a brother or your wife, even the secrets, not secrets, but like things that you wouldn't publicly talk about. And yeah, I mean, they honestly, they told me it's like they were noticing how, like, also how obsessed I got over, like, especially during the last month of recording. I was just like, you're in the
Oh, your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you say that last part again? Like, for some reason your mic cut out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, during the last month of, when we're in the studio towards the end, so you're like trying to finalize everything, and then being kind of like, I'm the one who's like talking to the drummer that's gonna do the stuff, like, making sure things are right. It's like I'm, like with the music, you're at the studio during the day, and then I would wake up like at 6 a.m., and work on revisions and like work on songs, change this, change that, still write parts. And then after the studio, be like more working, and then feeling like this record needs to be perfect. This time we need to step up. You need to, like, all these things. I think they were maybe necessary because I pushed in a way that it brought out like a certain level of creativity, but also I had to pay the price after. So even this is something that even my therapist, like, we talked about how, I got to accept the fact that maybe that was like me a little bit losing my mind, was part of, this creative process, had to happen in a way. Obviously now, like the what's important, because I don't want to lose that, like that extra, that creativity that is like very spontaneous, very like, that comes out with so much energy. I don't want to lose that next time we're doing another record. But
Right.
I think like the whole plan is like being able to work with your thoughts and emotions in a way that you will channel those better. And so you'll still have all that adrenaline and all that, energy to put into like songs and music, but you won't let your mind just, lose track of, where you should go. Right.
Absolutely.
And so, and so I think like, yeah, I am feeling like so much more in control of just my thoughts, and thank God this happened before, like, or during COVID, because this was like so helpful. I mean, I can't imagine like having to deal with all this without, without having some kind of support like that.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like with COVID, how like it taught me to slow myself down, because I felt like before COVID we were rushing. Do you like see like once the pandemic ends, do you see like a new normal happening, or do you think we'll go back to we're rushing 24/7, or are we going to be more self-conscious when it comes to our mental health, keeping ourselves centered, making sure we keep our mental health in check?
That's such a good question, and I really don't know, because like I fear that there's so many important lessons that people could have learned, like that we could have learned during during this process. But then I think like in terms of making mistakes, it's just like normal that humans go back and making the same mistakes, because this is kind of what we do. I mean, it's been happening for 1,000 years, so
I agree.
so I have a feeling like, I mean, I hope that this is going to be a good big lesson, but at the same time, things like this had happened in history before, and then you still go back at, doing the same thing, making mistakes. And it's like, it's like when you think about how this whole thing, even with, watching the news, the stuff that we were hearing a year ago, and then you would listen to the same news now, you'd be like, wow, they were so wrong about everything. And then
I agree.
yeah, and so it's kind of like you know, how also, to me at least, my opinion is like how everything, like people just didn't want to accept it, you know. So for a long time, just people still try to just live their life kind of like, well, I'm still gonna do what I'm doing. And for some people it's more important to still do whatever you want to do than follow some rules that will help the everyone else. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think like in terms of for sure, at least in the beginning, people will appreciate more the being able to spend time in groups of people, with like friends, and like, because we haven't done it in so long. I mean, so like next time I think next month I'll be able to fly to Italy. My family's being, they're all getting vaccines now. I've been vaccinated. And it's been 2 years. I haven't seen him in 2 years. And so
do you FaceTime and Zoom with them and stuff?
Excuse me?
Do you FaceTime or Zoom with them?
Oh yeah. We talked a lot. It's like, even with my parents also, it's like how during this whole, like the obviously the pandemic was hard for everyone, even the people who are not depending on working anymore. But like, you got to think, like, even somebody who's freshly retired, and they think like, oh, now it's the time where I'm gonna travel and do all my things, and it's like, and all of a sudden, like, oh, now I'm stuck at home, and I'm actually risking more than other people. It's like, if I catch this thing, it's like I might really do bad. And so yeah, I think it's, I was trying to talk. I mean, I talk to them like constantly, and yeah, and so I have to be honest, like even during COVID, the one thing, like the reason why I had not seen them in 2 years is because I gotten so busy, first with tours, and then after, like, between tours, writing music. And then usually I go back to Italy during Christmas, and then I didn't because I was, busy with the music and recording and stuff like that. I had a flight I was flying last year back to Italy in April, right after the tour we're doing. And obviously all that had to be canceled. But, just like, and automatically started feeling like, wow, I procrastinated. I didn't go to Italy for this whole time. And look, now I don't even know where I'm going to be able to go again, So I think like it definitely, COVID is making us like value like personal relationships more, and then seeing how important they are. Because it's even someone like me who, like, obviously you're on the road, and then when you're on the road, you're always around people. So when I come home, I like to be, to live a quiet life. I don't really go out and do stuff. I definitely don't want to go to a bar because I live in venues basically during while I'm on tour, right?
Exactly.
And so yeah, I'm kind of, do my things. I like to be in, like in a quiet place, to like go out and be in, like go camping and do stuff like that. And yeah, when you start, seeing like, wow, like actually relationships are really, really important. You need that aspect. And just being able to talk. I mean, thank God for all the Zoom and like being able to FaceTime and do all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's definitely is not comparable to the actual like real relationship you can have with a person. But yeah,
I just kind of think about how different concerts are going to be once this pandemic is over. And I know that when you guys are going to be supporting Killswitch Engage, August Burns Red in the first half of 2022, what is that feeling going to be like when you guys first step on that stage, that first show, and you see just a crowd of people in there?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, can't wait. It's something that, I mean, and as of right now, we have some festivals booked in September.
Oh,
and
okay.
Obviously being outdoors and stuff like that. And it's like, as of right now, it's like, I don't want to get too excited because who knows what could happen. It's like the thought was like, I would so love to just be back in like venues and play shows and be on tour and do that stuff. It's like, cause it's what we love to do. It's obviously at the same time, I would only want to do it once it really it's going to start feeling, comfortable for everybody in terms of like, even the shows that we were playing when we had to cancel and fly home, those 3-4 days that we were on the road, and then all you were hearing on the news was about COVID and all these things, like, and then we had to fly home, it's like, had layovers and here and there. It's like you start really kind of stressing out, and you have like the guy who sells merch on your bus, right? And this person is talking and touching people, and then he's like being surrounded by hundreds, thousands of people, every night. Like, and so it's like you start feeling like, wow, it really doesn't feel very safe. So I think like it's just gonna be weird to see like a venue packed again. It just, as of right now, it just feels like, is it even going to happen anytime soon? But I so hope it will. I so hope things are just going to get better. Like with we're lucky that we're in a country where pretty much there are vaccines for everyone. It's like
absolutely.
As you get, I mean, people in Italy are, only older people were able to get a vaccine. It's like a guy like my brother, he's probably going to get a vaccine at the end of the summer, because they're just like begging for vaccines over there. And so the fact that here it's kind of easy for everyone to get it. And, it's like, hopefully this will bring somewhat of an end to this chapter, and very soon.
Yeah, definitely. And it just feels like, 2019 obviously was just a little while ago, but it feels like it was like years and years ago at the same time and all that. So like, one thing I'm really excited about the record is Wilting In The Light. I absolutely love that song, and I feel like your guitar playing tells a story. And I can't say that about a lot of musicians, but your guitar tells a story. So just take us into that music video, and what was it like just coming back? Like, did you guys have to like follow like any safety protocols or anything like that?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, we had to, obviously, and getting tested and all that stuff. Like, and obviously Howard was flying, so that's like a bit of a that risk. But we all responsible people, so I had no doubt about the guys, like the in the band and crew and everything. They were also, they right away when our management was like like talking to director and all those people. They were like very, very meticulous about keeping things safe. So at least that, and then, we're able to shoot, we actually shot 2 music videos in the same week, shot 2 music videos and did a photo shoot. And, I mean, just that alone, it's kind of crazy. Cause like, I mean, usually a photo shoot and a music video is not that exciting, right? Cause you're just basically, you watch a thing and you watch it and it's like 3.5 minutes, but it took hours and hours of redoing the same takes. And now we try this. Now we change the camera. Now we change the lens, and you keep going. It's not fun, right? And also, like, I don't know, it's like even the photo shoots, like posing to look, it's like, I don't know, just like fix your hair, do things like, it's really like, we're more like people just like, I don't even look myself in the mirror in the morning, that kind of stuff. But
does it feel kind of lame in doing those photo shoots?
I mean,
or is it?
It can, it definitely can. I mean, we're obviously laughing inside sometimes, when but it's part of, it's part of the job. It's what you do. But what's funny is, like, in this case, we were really excited to do all this just so it would still be like a band thing. We're finally working again. We're finally being active again. And so even
felt normal, didn't it? It felt normal, didn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. And so that video was like just fun. We basically were like laughing the whole day, just got to hang out and just eat good food and chill. It's like, yeah, it's fun. And like it is with the song, because that's just a fun song. energetic. And
yeah, I could tell with like the new material, it feels like a sense of liberation. And that's one thing I really appreciate about the new record as well. And what is like one song that you're looking forward to playing live from the new record?
Honestly, I think Wilting is one of the songs that is going to be really fun because it's got that energy, and I can see like people jumping and just being, happy about like moving around for that song. And so that's one for sure. And I mean, like probably my favorite song on the record is Death on Me. And
Yeah.
and I think that song's, I think it'd be like special to play live. And also because it's a special song for us, for all three of us. And yeah, also, I like a lot More Than Dreaming because it's got it's like a faster song. So, I mean, very often, like the faster songs can be the most, satisfying to play because of, you see the movement, the energy from the crowd. So probably those songs.
Yeah, and definitely. And one thing I noticed about when Howard performs live, like I've seen Howard like when he was in Killswitch Engage like 3 times, and it just when I was in the crowd, it just seems like the audience just pours their heart out when they sing the songs back to him. I is it kind of one of those things where you just can't get over that feeling, or have you had people come up to you and be like, "Hey, that song changed. That song really resonated with me," and stuff like that? Can you think of a specific moment when that's happened?
Yeah, I mean, like every tour, we have like at least a few interactions where you just like, because like obviously there's people messaging you on, like social media and stuff and telling you it's like that song changed my life. And then it's obviously already like something so powerful. When you actually get to meet these people and then they tell you how much it meant, how like they were going through, probably like one of the worst time of their lives and things like that. At one point we had someone who was like he was like at that time it was in Afghanistan, and
Oh wow.
then he told us how much like the music, and he was telling us like they're actually when they would go on a mission they would blast our music in the truck, in the military truck we were
Wow.
driving, and they were just how much like it was giving the like the right energy and just feel like good about themselves and things like that. And yeah, when you start thinking about moments like that, it really does feel extra special because
Yeah.
in a way you're changing people's lives, and you are, if anything, you just, even if it's like for 3 minutes you're making it better. That to me is very special. That is ultimately what the power of what we do is like for us. Like I think it's like it's the ultimate satisfaction, to know that you are doing something like that. And yeah, so like to me, I love hearing about stories like that and people telling us. But and it could be like situations where obviously it could be like a breakup, like like somebody just mentally not doing great, and things are looking a little better after listening to music. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's got to be an incredible feeling. So, one thing I was going to ask you is like, are you guys planning like any like live stream event? Yeah, it's so funny how like things at first become routine, and now since COVID happened, like we appreciate those things that were
Yeah.
routine at one time, And just a couple more questions for you. What is the soundtrack to your life? I'm actually working on a book as we speak, and basically it could be a band, song, artist, or genre. What is there a particular band or song that you go to when times get difficult,
uh
or it could be a genre or an album?
yeah, I have to say, actually, for me, when I'm like really deep in my thoughts, like the music that helps the most is classical music.
Nice.
Yeah. So uh, there are like different pieces that mean a lot to me. And then there's just something like that level of depth that at least I feel when I listen to classical music, that it really helps me with my with my own thoughts and just kind of be like, find a place again, to feel a little more in control. So I would definitely say that classical music for sure.
Awesome. And just one more question I have for you. What are your goals for the rest of this week or the rest of this month, whether it's as a band or personal, that you want to accomplish?
I think actually this month and week, it's going to be like for the next few weeks, it's all focused on, the live streaming and organizing all that. And, just work on set lists and creating new intros and doing stuff. And then finally getting to rehearse. Yeah. Right now it's like main focus is this. And we all being pretty busy with press, a bunch of interviews. So working on that. And it's like, it definitely is music right now. It's like, it's,
Definitely. And You Will Be the Death of Me by Light the Torch is coming out June 25th via Nuclear Blast Records. Is there anything else you would like to add in regards to the band, where people can find you or anything like that?
Oh, well, anybody, I'm sure they can just Google and find all the links. But, we're on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that. And there are links everywhere for, to pre-order the record. And so we just, I think at this point, it's just so exciting to see already the first song went so well and it's doing really well. And now just I'm so excited to see every single that we'll put out, what's going to do, and actually, this is not live obviously, but I'm telling you, tomorrow we put out a second single.
Oh, very nice. And we're looking forward to hearing that. And is that under wraps, like the name of the single, or?
Oh, no, it's like I said, it's going to be tomorrow, but yeah, this is not live, right?
Right. Correct. It's not live.
Yeah. So it's the song called More Than Dreaming.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. First song on the record. So.
Awesome. And what's that song about?
I guess those are always tricky questions about lyrics, because even if you were to ask Howard, he wouldn't tell you. It's it's for him it always is read the lyrics and it's about what made you feel. And I think in terms of song, it's another song that is, and that's something that I think it's a common a common theme on this record, having this, even for it's a heavier song, it's a faster song than Wilting In The Light, but it's still it gives you this positive energy. I think listening to it makes you feel better. It's I think, and that's what I hope it's really gonna do. With people, just gonna feel that's the song that, I want to hear. I want to see comments saying it makes me want to work out. It makes me want to go run outside and do things, exercise, and, just be outside and in the sun and do things.
Yeah, definitely. And that song will be available on YouTube and all digital streaming platforms. So Fran, is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
No, I think we're all good.
Awesome. And Fran Ardusado, thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me for Madness to Creation. And thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And thank you for the music that you make.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you're doing well. So
appreciate it.
All right, you bet. See you later.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.